Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show. Now, we need to talk about the One OK Rock Show that happened here in Melbourne last night. Let's go. Alrighty, so these tickets went on sale a while ago. I grabbed my ticket and yeah, the show sold out, which I didn't know if it would or not because while I know One OK Rock are absolutely huge in Asia, outside of Asia, I'm not sure whether they're really that big because when we were in the US in May and June of last year, they were playing in New Jersey at the same time that we were going to be in New York City. So we debated on whether we should go or not. And I remember the day of the show, I still checked it out and there were tickets everywhere. And this is in New York or New Jersey, which is close enough. It was on the border. But I mean, like, if it's on the day and there are that many tickets available, maybe this band isn't so big overseas. I don't know. I wasn't at the show, but if you went to that New York City show, maybe you know, or New Jersey show, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Maybe you know whether the show was full or not. But Margaret Court Arena was sold out and they didn't have seats on the floor. So they obviously sold more tickets than the Goo Goo Dolls did. And I'm not, that's no shade to the Goo Goo Dolls because I love that band. But I went to that show, but it was seated on the floor. This one, there were no seats on the floor. It was all standing and that was packed. The whole venue was actually packed solid. And I was pretty stoked, although I was on my own. So I had two people, I guess, who were also on their own on each side of me. And we should have buddied up and become mates, but we didn't. We didn't even talk. They were really busy on their phones. No shade to that. Yeah, you do you and live happily ever after. It doesn't matter, you don't need to make friends with the people sitting next to you. But I got to the show and I got there just before the opening band, Stand Atlantic, came on, and they're from Sydney. And I watched their set. It's not really music that I connect with. I'm not saying it's bad. Absolutely not. It's just not the kind of music I listen to. And they had the crowd won over though. People loved them. People absolutely loved them. So like props to them for, smashing it out and doing the thing. I mean, they do it well, but it's just not music that connects with me, if you know what I mean. So they played till about 8:45 or something like that. And then all of a sudden we had 25 minutes to pass. And 9:10 was when they were scheduled to hit the stage. And at 9:10 on the dot, those lights went dark and the intro music started. And I was like, I love that. Because there have been times when, the time is ticking down. They're like scheduled to be on stage at 9 and at 9:05 you're still going, oh, what's going on here? But nope, the first moment 9:10 hit, the lights went dark and then the intro music started and I was like, yes. And you could feel that anticipation building straight away. Like this band, people loved them. Like they really love this band and for good reason because they are fantastic. But I didn't realize how loved they were until you're actually there. Like they sold a lot of merch. Sold a ton of merch. And yeah, I didn't buy any of it because, I don't pay $65 for a t-shirt. To me, that's just ridiculous. But, people were lining up and buying the tour t-shirts and whatever. When they came out on stage, they just took off. Like they really, really blew up and it was just unreal. Like you were just into it. The thing I love about this band is that the harmonies are great. The songwriting's great, but the harmonies are great. The melodic, notes on the guitars that he plays, because that guitarist is freaking awesome in this band. And he's just really good with melody. And so hearing that was just unreal. Like the drummer's fantastic. And, the bass player's rocking out for somebody who plays with his fingers. He's not Steve Harris, but nobody is. But he's just still killing it. Like the whole band just rocks. And obviously Tucker's voice, that guy can sing. It bothers me that a band that is that good with that much talent with songs that are that great are not as big outside of Asia as they are in Asia. Like you've seen videos of them live in Japan and they're playing like massive stadiums, like the biggest stadiums that you could possibly play, all sold out, right? They come out here and they play Margaret Court Arena, which is the smallest of our arenas, So that was like, man, like why isn't this band that big all over the world? Like they've got the songs, they've got the chops, they just play so well. The sound, everything about them is perfect for them to be big, like all over the world. And it's not the case. And that really bums me out because a band with songs that good and, they're a rock band from Japan that should be way bigger. It's yet, when you speak about rock bands of Japan, people just immediately go to Baby Metal, who I'm seeing on Tuesday. But when you talk about One OK Rock, so many times I've said, oh, do you like One OK Rock to people? And they're like, oh, who is that? And it just bums me out. I was like, how do you not know this band? Like, because they're so good, but it is what it is. Like, I was speaking to one of my friends while I was at the show. I messaged him, sent him a video of the guitar player playing, and he's like, who's that? I said, One OK Rock. And he goes, oh, I didn't even know about it, which is not true because I told him at least 10 times, but it doesn't matter. The point is, like they could have gone and they weren't, but they've sold out all 3 shows on this tour. So that's great. Like, I'm stoked for them, stoked that they've sold out all 3 shows because it means that they'll have to come back, because obviously they're loved here. So yeah, the show was great. Like Renegades, I filmed the whole song of Renegades. That'll be on this channel as well that you can watch. But man, like hearing the crowd sing along, like even the ballads. But my God, so many riffs, so many great songs. They finished with We Are, obviously, which is the big song of theirs. It's the one that has like over 50 million views on YouTube or whatever. But all their songs have lots of views. I mean, like, they're a big band, but for some reason they're not playing like Rod Laver Arena. They're playing in Margaret Court, or it's bizarre. It's really bizarre. But I think after 20 years, you'd think this band would have been really, really big. But I'm stoked that while they're not as big here as they are in Asia, they still came here, because a lot of Japanese bands don't, they don't come here. I think that's a travesty. Like, we still haven't had Love Bites in Australia, which is just so weird, for a band that's been around as long as they have. We haven't had Bandmate. And, I get it. The Japanese music scene is not as big here as elsewhere, but it should be because it's all amazing. But yeah, One OK Rock, I've got to say, was a really, really solid show. I loved every minute of it. That band can really get the crowd going, like they were just jumping, like they were on fire, he tells everyone to sit down, everyone sits down, they tell them to get up, everyone jumps up in the air. 3, 2, 1, It was wild, and I just left the venue overhearing conversations as people were just talking about, so many nuances of the show that they loved. Like, I feel that One OK Rock's biggest asset is how well they connect with their audience. Like, you can tell that there's a big connection there between what they do and the message that they preach, and I'm not talking preaching like a gospel Christian church type thing. I'm talking about preachers, they promote love and peace, and, we should not be divided, which the world is very divided, like there's left and right and it's just all crazy and whatever. And they're saying, we got to stick together if we want this world to be a better place. And the message is true. It is true. We do need to stick together in order to make the world a better place. But it seems we can't do that because there is such division of like, you voted for that guy, so you're the worst person in the world. You voted for that person, so you're the worst person in the world. There's just so much hatred and division where people can't find a common ground. Thankfully, in Australia, I find that for the most part, if you meet somebody who votes differently to you, like I have friends that vote differently to the way I vote, and we don't care. Like, whatever. You vote for what you vote for. Who gives a crap? And it's interesting to hear a Japanese band talk about this because for the most part, like if you do your deep dive into Japanese big bands, and they very rarely get political. Very rarely get political. And why? I don't know. But it's something that they don't usually do. Bands don't get political in Japan, I've noticed. It's usually everything else. I mean, there's obviously punk bands like Scum Raid and Gorze and Gizm and stuff like that that definitely have political songs. But I'm talking about the mainstream big stuff, right? The bands very rarely get political. But on this latest album, they even made a thing about it by bringing this up, is saying that on the older albums, they were just like love songs and stuff like that. But as he's gotten older, and he's seen the division happen, as the days go by and how things have gotten worse, he felt that he had to express himself and start singing about politics, and he even said, Japanese bands don't usually speak about politics. And it's true, because I listen to endless amounts of Japanese bands, and I can tell you for sure that probably only about 1% of those bands that I listen to are political. It's just a thing I've noticed. If you follow Japanese bands, you probably notice it too. Like you're never going to hear Love Bites, Nemophila, bandmate that sing about politics. Like I feel that for the most part, you're not going to hear anything political. So it was interesting that last night, and that they made a point of that, and they brought that up, because I've always noticed it. And when I speak to my friends in Japan, like 90% of them don't talk about politics at all, like ever. They're not into politics at all. Like they don't follow anything. One of my friends is he's very political, and that's very cool. So I do notice that when I'm there, but for the most part, it's a no deal. Like nobody talks about it. Nobody really cares. So it's really bizarre. Interesting, but very bizarre. But anyway, that's what I want to talk about with One OK Rock Show. I feel that you need to go see this band live if they ever come through your city, but I know I say that about a lot of bands, but I feel that if you like rock music, especially if you do fall into mainstream rock music, it's something you like if you do listen to anything mainstream, you would love One OK Rock. Like to me, and I know, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, because I really like certain songs from this band, and I have seen them live, and I thought they were fantastic. They're kind of like U2. And I don't mean musically, I just mean in the way that they have this cult following that just follows them around. And I'd say follows them around because the woman who was sitting behind me, I overheard her telling her friend that she's doing every show on this tour, and that she'd followed them through Singapore and all these other shows. So she'd been following the band around, and it's just what she does. She just said she loves the band so much. I overheard her saying it to the person she was sitting next to. But that's really cool. I love it, that kind of fandom. I love seeing people so into a band that they will follow them around the world. Like there's certain bands that you just follow, and you'll go to certain countries to watch. So yeah. But anyway, that's what I wanted to speak about. The One OK Rock Show, it was fantastic. I loved it to bits, and I'm so glad I went. And yeah, please go see them if they come through your city. You will have a really good time. You can check some songs out on my YouTube page, but yeah, just watch their videos, go see them, experience it, because I feel that my videos do not hold up at all in any way of the experience of actually being there and being surrounded by these people that just worship this band. They just love them to death, and that's awesome. Fantastic show. Another great Japanese band to add to the collection. Anyway, my friends, thanks heaps for watching. Take care of yourselves, look after each other, go see some bands, go buy some records, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.